The term anti-work has come up recently because of something that happened involving Reddit. I am not talking about that here. By now you most likely either know or don't care. I want to talk about the actual term itself. Anti-work. This is a prime example of the radical rhetoric I have spoken of before. Almost every time I have heard this term come up, someone is confused about what it actually means. And then the anti-work people get angry because someone is confused about what anti-work means or thinks it means something other than what it apparently actually means. A great many of the anti-work people are complete idiots when it comes to rhetoric, and the confusion resulting from their rhetoric is all their fault. They don't get to complain, it is their confusing rhetoric that is the problem. They get mad when people interpret anti-work as meaning abolish all work.
Well, actually, anti-work means many jobs aren't necessary, and people should work less often, and the arrangement of work relations should radically change.
Why didn't you just call your movement reform work, less work, anti-capitalism, or whatever of the literally countless other labels that would make it more clear what you are talking about? When you say you are anti-work, of course people are going to think you are opposed to the very concept of work. That is what the words mean. That is what you have to expect. This is the interpretation you should be expecting. You don't get to go and be mad at people for not understanding what you mean when your rhetoric is the reason they are confused. If you want to use sloppy rhetoric, by all means go ahead, but when people don't know what you are talking about and misinterpret you, you don't get to blame them. It is your fault. It is all cool and nice to blame other people for not understanding and misinterpreting you, but sometimes we need to be adults, do a little introspection, and consider that perhaps it could just be our fault. By all means, use confusing rhetoric if you like, but don't act shocked when nobody understands you, and you need to explain yourself in great detail to everyone. I know what people will say. Well, actually, it has always been called anti-work, so that is what we call it. Nice job, so now leftists get to justify things with appeals to tradition. That's really cool. I don't care if this is what leftists have been calling it for however long. What I care about is rhetoric that people can actually understand, that doesn't mislead and confuse. All that sloppy rhetoric does is confuse people, lead to false understandings, and make it very easy for right-wingers to strawman you, because all they need to do is point at the literal name of your movement. Enough of the mindless rhetoric which sacrifices effective communication to sound cool and radical. The only person this rhetoric sounds cool to is you, and your already anarchist friends. To everyone else you sound like an out-of-touch fool, some kind of utopian with the mind of a 5-year-old, who bases your politics on unachievable fantasy. The radical rhetoric needs to go.